Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the NFL Best to Wear Jersey Countdown. I'm Mike, sports and the real shit. Um, if you're new to this, basically I'm just counting down the jerseys from 30 to 1 of the best NFL players to wear those jersey numbers as we're counting down to the start of the NFL season. As simple as that. We're down to jersey number 27. This has been really fun for me. I don't know about you, but I'm learning some new things about some players that I hadn't really thought about before as I'm doing the research for this. All right, so we're down to jersey number 27. You ready to go? All right, let's do it. Number 27 is not as popping as 28 was, all right? I'm going to say it right off the bat. Good players there, no doubt. Definitely good players there. But 28 might have been our high point. We'll see as we go along. But 27, of course, I'm a Dolphin fan. So anytime I can call out one of my former Dolphins players, I'm gonna do that. So number 27, we're gonna start off with my guy Terrell Buckley, known as T-Buck. Some of you may know him, may not. He went to Florida State as well. Shout out to the Seminoles. And Buckley was actually kind of underrated. He's probably, the second best cornerback talent to go to Florida State. I know Florida State has some great cornerbacks play there. Dion, of course, played there. Who else played there? Jalen Ramsey, right? In modern times, I was thinking some of the old former players. Xavier Rhodes played there. Turned out to be a pretty solid pro. But T-Buck was probably the second or third best cornerback to play at FSU. Of course, like I said, he played with the Dolphins. Also had played with Green Bay. He started off in Green Bay, played in New England, and then with the Jets and the Giants. 14 years in the league. 50 picks, 6 touchdowns. That is really good. Like, to me, if you can play like 8-9 years in the NFL as a cornerback, you are really good. Because that position is hard as hell. They're going up against, monsters, especially nowadays, right? These dudes are ridiculous, and you can't touch them anymore nowadays. So it's hard to play cornerback. But even back then, right, back in those days, it was hard to play cornerback, simply because you were always at a disadvantage. So if you played 7-8 years at corner, you had to be really good. Like, you're backpedaling while cats are running full speed at you. Like, those are probably the best athletes in the world, if you ask me, like cornerbacks. But anyway, so Terrell Buckley, like I said, 14 years across 4 different teams, 50 picks, 6 INTs. From what I remember as a Dolphins fan, he was just a tough guy. He didn't back down from anybody. He played in your shirt. He was okay playing bump and run coverage. He had speed. He wasn't, into playing zone and all that stuff, right? And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some, mastermind defensive guru. I know everything was going on, but just from a fan's perspective, I respected the way he played. He was tough. He was hard-nosed. He got in there, tackled when he needed to. And when the ball was in the air and, he was able to make a play on it, he absolutely did. Again, 50 career interceptions, 6 TDs. So shout out to my guy, Terrell Buckley. Fins up. Next on the list, Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins just retired probably a year, 2 years ago. Just an overall smart playmaker. 13 years in the league between New Orleans and Philadelphia Eagles. This dude played all 16 games the last 8 years of his career. All 16 games the last 8 years. Can you believe that? A safety, free safety, 16 games. And at one point, I remember hearing this stat, like, he played every defensive snap. So not just the game, he played every defensive snap. This guy was like a machine. 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ, had 1,000 tackles in his career, 21 interceptions, 7 TDs, 20 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries. Just an all-around playmaker, a guy you would want on your team because he was always in position. He knew what to do, right? He wasn't costing your team points because he was making dumb, boneheaded plays or anything like that. Just all-around solid playmaker. Again, he won Super Bowls That Philadelphia Eagles team, like, he was their defensive leader. You could tell, he inspired those guys. He gave the pregame speeches and so on. So shout out to Malcolm Jenkins, another solid number 27 jersey wearer. Next up on the list is running back Eddie George. Eddie George was one of the first dudes I remember watching in college. I'm like, damn, this dude is huge. And I know back then they had the big shoulder pads, but he was legit big. And even in the pros, when the shoulder pads started to slim down, Eddie George was still huge. Playing for the Houston, and I guess they changed it to the Tennessee Oilers and Titans. 9 years, 8 with that franchise, and then another one with the Cowboys. Eddie George was just a baller. In college, I remember him running over dudes, just being overpowering dudes, and at Ohio State, and stiff arming guys and running around and through, and like he was just all around nasty. And then in the pros, he kind of kept doing the same thing. Like the only battle I could say, Eddie George lost in his career, like against like a defensive player, head to head, was like, you guys could probably go back and play this. Is the hit with Ray Lewis, right? That seemed like kind of turned his career into a downward spiral, but we won't focus on that for now. No, seriously, Eddie George was a baller, man, all around. 9 years, played every game until his last year with Dallas. These guys were so durable. He played every game until his last year with Dallas. He was physical. He ran upright. Despite the fact that he ran upright, you never seen him taking any like big shots that knocked him out or anything like that. 10,000 yards rushing for his career, 68 touchdowns, 2,000 more receiving, 10 touchdowns there. He had 7 1,000-yard seasons, 4 Pro Bowls, 1-time All-Pro, 1996 Offensive Rookie of the Year. When you think of the Houston/Tennessee Oilers franchise in that transition, you would think of Eddie George and Steve McNair. Like, those were the cornerstones of that franchise, and they won quite a bit of games. And Eddie George was one of the reasons why. He had a lot of carries, and despite all those carries, he stayed healthy and he stayed productive. So shout out to Eddie George, Hall of Famer, number 27. To me, the best 27 is a guy by the name of Steve Atwater. If you're young, you don't remember Steve Atwater, look up his highlights. One of the hardest hitters ever in the NFL. I don't know if Steve Atwater can play in today's game. He would be taken to jail. Steve Atwater in today's game would be arrested. The way he hit people. And back then, it was legal. But even when it was legal, not too many guys was hitting like that. He was ferocious. He's one of the first guys I remember when I first started watching football, like I said, 89, 90, 91. Like, I recognized him even though he didn't play for the Dolphins, because I was like, this guy his style of play popped out whenever the Broncos were on national TV. Elway was on national TV quite a bit, so I got to see Atwater a lot. And he was just ferocious, man. He was a heavy hitter. And despite the fact that he was known as a heavy hitter, he still had plenty of interceptions, 24 picks. He was supposed to be a free safety, right? As a safety, he had 24 picks, but his hitting was really what set him apart. For those who remember, his collision with Christian Okoye, who at the time was known as the Nigerian Nightmare. He put this guy to sleep. Sweet dreams. All right. For his career, 1,188 tackles, like I said, 24 picks. Even with all those hard hits in the highlights, this man missed 5 total games during his time with Denver. 11 years with the Broncos, mostly, and the Jets 1 year. During his time with Denver, right, so those 10 years with Denver, he missed 5 total games. And you see the hits that this guy is laying on people. Unbelievable. 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Steve Atwater, number 27. Shout out. That's my childhood. I remember those hits specifically. Like, damn, this brother's. I can't play football because if this guy's hitting me, I'm gonna down the football field. So Steve Atwater was the best number 27 in my opinion. Couple honorable mentions. Larry Johnson, 9 years in KC. But folks, especially if you play fantasy football again, folks will remember the back-to-back 1,700 yard seasons he had in 05 and 06. He had 55 total TDs. Larry Johnson was nice for those couple years, man. He was really, really good. So honorable mention there. Currently, number 27 is Tre'Davious White, recently coming off an injury. This dude was a lockdown corner. But I think if he can recover and get back to form, he'll be up there with some of the best number 27s of all time. So shout out to Trey White. All right, y'all. That's it. Like I told y'all, 27 ain't like 28. It ain't that many dudes. But we're going to keep going anyway. All right, so appreciate y'all joining me. I'm going to catch you guys next time with number 26. Mike Philman. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.